Well, you become wide receiver. In this case, a little bit.
I've had, me personally, I've had a bunch of really good ones between my Bama receiver and my Maryland receivers.
Yeah.
Judy, Ruggs, Waddle, Smitty, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Stefon Diggs. It really has been.
Yeah. So yeah, wide receiver. You are wide receiver. Right now. And to start this off, then we'll get rocking. We good? So I like to keep it simple, but we're not going to start with a football question. This is actually, follow me here. You're in the car, okay? Yeah. Windows are up. Volume, you're cranking the song all the way to the max because this is a song you really love. Maybe you'll play it around other people, but it is one of your go-tos. You could even sing your heart out if you were a singer. But what's one of those songs for you that you would put on in the car?
Oh man, so I have a favorite one, but it's like personal. That's my favorite song.
It could be your personal.
It is. So Rod Wave has a song called 25.
Yeah.
And my son Miko was murdered at the age of 25. And so whenever I get in my car and I want to get my mojo going, kind of my energy, it brings me juice. Some people feel like you get sad, but it's that song, when I hear it, it's kind of like it's empowering because what that taught me was to appreciate the now because tomorrow's not promised. So when I get, the last 2 years in college football, my last 2 years of 4-8, I often at a lot of my press conferences when they ask me about the 8-game losing streak and when they keep saying to me, your team's losing, you're going to get fired, you're going to do this. And I say I've done harder. Because recovering from burying a child is harder for me. And so motivating, when I want to get myself going, that's one of my go-to songs.
I can see in the eyes when people talk about music. That's why I bring it up, because everyone has different angles of why they have the moments. And some can be for the goofiest reasons. Some can laugh. It's mood music, but everyone has it, and there's a story behind why it's important to you. And in this day and age, look, in a business side, sports, in this, people expect you win, you lose, you're judged on all of that. But is it life or death on the field with that? No. And I think that's the part where it's always perspective. And I know you've been through a whole lot. And I appreciate your perspective on all of it.
I appreciate that, Ryan.
And I'm always rooting for the Terps being from Maryland, man.
You got to.
We just were going through this list. That's part of the reason you're out here. One of your former Terps, Stefon Diggs. Yeah. Steph's going for a Super Bowl here for a little bit. What's that mean to you?
Well, anytime you see your players, former players, and Steph is like a son to me. Because I've known him since he was in 8th grade. I had Trayvon, his brother, at Alabama. I know the family very well. His mom, Stephanie, was just at my 56th birthday party that I had Christmas Eve. When you see them reach the pinnacle of success in their respective fields, it's rewarding. And that's more rewarding than the contracts that these guys sign in my mind, because it shows them, when I know some of their backgrounds and what they've been through, where they're from, that you can win. You can win it all. You can be at the top of the mountain. There's nothing that can stop you from dreaming the way Stefon has dreamed, and now he has an opportunity to go win a national championship or win a Super Bowl.
With Steph, I think he's my same year of high school. I think he was 2012 because him and Cyrus Jones was a Gilman guy, and I remember them going against each other. Gilman, good counsel. It was a year apart then, so that's what it was. So for Steph, though, the journey of it. You said you've known him for a long time. You love him, and seeing the evolution even for him and the perspective, because a lot of people have perceptions of guys throughout, and they can say, hey, Steph did this wrong there, and there's a perception of, well, he outwore his welcome where it was. Personally, for the Steph that and even the evolution of it, watching him with the Pats, everyone said about how great of an impact he's been as a leader. But for you, watching his evolution as not only a player but a man, what is something that you've really enjoyed? Or I can see you're almost like another like a proud family member watching.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And to know his story and to know, that his dad passed at a young age and he had to become the man of the house. And one of the reasons that the little known story that people don't know is one of the reasons he chose Maryland over Ohio State and over Florida and some of these other programs was because of his family, because his mom, Stephanie, was on the Excella train that went from DC to Boston every night. And so Steph had to watch Trey, his younger brother, and to go away to school, who's going to watch Trey? So I said, listen, he can come stay with him in the evenings on his dorm or in his apartment, and then we'll make sure Steph gets into school in the morning. So those are the things, the stories behind the stories, that he made sacrifices for his family for a lot of time, a lot of years. And he's not perfect. None of us are. If you were to follow all of us around with a camera for most of our life, we'd have things that we aren't proud of. But one thing people can't say about Stefon Diggs is he loves football. He stays in shape. His workouts are legendary. Came back from an ACL tear in less than a year to put up the type of numbers he's putting up this year as an older veteran receiver. You know, I saw this movie before, a guy like Odell Beckham, how fast they fell off. Well, because of how he keeps himself, he's a pro. I mean, he is always in shape. Yeah. Wherever he is, he's going to get his workout in. He's going to get his lift. He's going to run. He's going to get receiver. He's going to catch some balls. That people can't question his love for the game.
You can. And also coming back from an ACL in your 30s, when people wanted to write him off, it was a big reason for this jump with Drake May. But also, I appreciate you sharing the insight. And those are the stories of the upbringings. Everyone has a perspective. And you're right. Look, hand up, I've made a ton of mistakes. I'm still going to make mistakes. I'm not going to do things perfectly.
So will old Coach Locks, man.
Yeah, I know. You will. Yeah. I'm hoping for everything for the Terps next year. You guys rock and roll, man. I know it's going to.
I'm excited about it. Malik Washington. We got a really good young defensive core. We've built this team through what I call the draft, because you know I could stand in front of the camera and complain about what I don't have resource-wise, and all I know is I went and witnessed Indiana win a national championship. I watched Duke win an ACC championship. I watched Kansas play really good football the last 3-4 years. We're very capable at Maryland. And you look at the pedigree, and we've gone out the last 2 years, recruited two of the best high school classes, which we've had to grow them instead of go buy them. And I'm okay with that. We've had 2 4-8, but they felt different. This one felt different. Looked different. We lost 3 games in the fourth quarter that we were winning that would make us 7 wins, and now we looked a little different about things. But I tell you this, at the end of that season, every one of the players in that room, including the seniors left, that were part of that previous 4-8, said this ain't the same team. And I'm excited that we get to start back up here next week for me when I get back in the office after hopefully watching Steph win a Super Bowl and start building the 2026 iteration of the Maryland football program.
That's the hope, and it comes down to certain moments where a season can look a lot differently. Yeah. And I remember those games; it was down to the wire.
Nebraska, Washington, UCLA.
Yeah, just like winning. I can tell right off the bat. Yeah, you get it. Yeah. You get it.
But you got to win them. It's only good in horseshoes to be close or to be ahead early. So we'll get that fixed with the wisdom that we take from this past season.
And I think you will. One other name that was popping up since you mentioned Diggs on top of this. Well, unrelated with that, but Torrey Smith is a Maryland guy. He roasted me the other day, Coach.
Roasted you?
Yeah, because he misjudged my age and he didn't like what my answer was. Do you want to take a guess how old I am?
Yeah, so let me think. You would be 35, 34?
32. We'll take it. Torrey's 37, which he couldn't remember his birthday.
You said you were
2012 grad, so 2012. Yeah. So I kind of gave you a little help there, but Torrey
my
laughed.
math is a little off. I'm a Ballou High grad, so my math's a Towson grad.
Yeah, okay.
You know? My math's a little off.
Hey, my math's off already, and it shouldn't be off if you ask my parents, but that's a whole different story. But Torrey roasted me for the age. You couldn't believe that I was younger than him.
Wow.
But another receiver I was thinking about, you mentioned going through the list before we started. DJ Moore, man.
Emotep.
Hey, can we
Zaire Mathis.
Hey, can we hey, I know this is I have a biased part here, and maybe this is gonna be a bold thing. How can we get DJ to get to Baltimore, man? I would love to see DJ come to Baltimore. Declan Doyle came there. DJ is one of those gamers, man.
He ain't just a gamer, man. He was special as a freshman for us at Maryland. Didn't win a lot of games during his tenure there, but everyone knew that he was capable. Funny story about the DJ Moore deal is the draft he got drafted. I happened to be the receiver coach, co-coordinator at Alabama, and Calvin Ridley was my top receiver, and he and DJ were up for who would be the next guy getting drafted in at the receiver position, and DJ got drafted ahead of Calvin, who had just won a national championship. So I always use that example in recruiting, that you don't have to win a national championship to be drafted in the first round. DJ Moore got drafted ahead of Calvin Ridley, who had just went to a national championship game.
He's one of the toughest dudes I think I've seen as well. DJ, he takes a beating.
He's a grown man.
He gets back up, and then it looks like he's done. And then I get like a notification on the phone, DJ Moore questionable, or trainers are looking at him. And the second he's back in catching a big play or touchdown.
That's because he's an Emotep grad.
That's it.
He's got that Philly West Philly toughness. Probably didn't have a lot of trainers and training rooms at Emotep. So he learned how to play through a little bit of – it's the difference between being hurt and being injured.
Yeah.
Hurt is different than injured. So he's been hurt a little bit maybe, but he gets up and – he's a big body receiver, man. He's kind of built like a bigger version of Steve Smith was for our Ravens.
Yeah.
And I see him, but he's more of more of a vertical threat. He can work the underneath the shallows. He's a big time playmaker. Be a great addition. I know Chicago loves him. He just signed a big deal there, so you never know though.
Yeah, I mean, Declan Doyle come to Baltimore. I'm just trying to manifest this to close this out, just because I like just reminiscing and I love hearing the insights. Again, you might just be wide receiver. You as an individual, because you've been around between Alabama and Maryland. You've been a part of teams and players that are just iconic. Is there some story of any of the wide receivers that you have been a part of that either it showed their greatness, was a funny moment, or something that you look back on? Because you've had so many different ones that have been successful, but you got to see behind the scenes on all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough because, I mean, I'll take a Steph story. Like, I can remember, Steph in the draft. It's most people don't know, or he got drafted in the 5th round. And a lot of people were like, he had a draft, almost a 2-day draft party, because he had been told he may get drafted in the 1st, and I think he had a party. And then the next day, the 2nd through 3rd round. And so I can remember saying, hey, look, let's just go work out, because this goes back to show you that I know for me as a coach, when I lost my son, I went to practice the next day. Well, Steph, when he didn't get drafted, I knew the best thing for him is let's go work out. And so my son Kai, who was going to Gilman at the time, was a 10th grade, 11th grade quarterback. And we're literally at that time, it was Bird Stadium. We went out the Bird Stadium. Nobody knew. We're there it was like Saturday of the last round of the draft. And we went out and worked out for 3 hours, just ran routes, threw the ball. And when we got done, we were going to Buffalo Wild Wing to eat, and he got the call from the Minnesota Vikings that he was getting taken in the 5th round. I think he was the 17th or 18th receiver taken.
See, that's the stuff people don't know. And you were there, you witnessed it.
I'm the one that organized the workout. I said, look, man, because I know Steph, and nothing killing him more than not being drafted the way he thought he should have. And I know the type of competitor he is, and he made the sacrifice. And, some people would say, oh, he didn't get drafted because he went to Maryland. And that wasn't the case. So we had 1st-round receivers that didn't win games, and DJ and other guys to where he got drafted early. But, yeah, to see that, but that also showed you how important football was to him, because instead of being mad at football, he went out and worked out until he got himself drafted.
Well, that's a great way to end. For anyone that's wondering, when things don't go your way or you're frustrated, you can either sulk or you get back on the practice field. And if you're lucky, Coach Locksley will set up the thing, and he'll be helping you catch balls for 3 hours and whatnot. Well, maybe, I don't know if you're still got the time to do that. You got to get the Terps ready for next year.
I was a coordinator then. I got to get Terps ready.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank you.
You got it.